Three insights of impactful consideration concerning your path as a conscious creator. This transmission is brought to you by and is courtesy of the Electric Temple. My name is Lucian Francois Mateo St. James. I am a spiritual epidemiologist, and I'm here to encourage you in knowing with empowered conviction the truth of your transcendent divinity. Thank you again for co-creating this moment with me. Number one, in terms of creating more flow, more ease, we're manifesting all the time. You are an individualized expression of the God of all things, of the total, absolute, nameless, formless source that animates everything we see here. We're all, even on a scientific level, made of the same stuff chemically. We're all made of the same stardust, and you're watching an individualized expression of me as an individualized expression of you, and we're linking up. We're in frequency right now to discuss this topic, because I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. There's nothing to know, but there is everything to remember. And I woke up this morning, I was on my Substack, and I saw the most wild comment. And it directly appealed to me in terms of reality creation, and a lesson that I learned very early on as a philosophy major 10 years ago in undergrad. And I wanted to speak on that. It was a comment that somebody made that said something along the lines of, people have these interesting topic articles, and I click on the interesting topic article only to find out that the article is 6,000 words long of rambling. People need to learn to edit. Now, if you're not familiar with Substack, it's a writing app. It's a self-publishing writing app, not like self-publishing in terms of like to publish, but you publish yourself, and I'm on there, and that's why I was there scrolling. And I just thought that was so crazy, because I'm just like, then just don't read it. Then just don't read it. And how this applies to your reality creation, the insight, today in terms of, creating more flow, is that when I speak to people on a one-to-one basis, a lot of what their problem is that they're not focused on what they're creating and what their attention, because your attention is the power that births your world. I mean, think about that. I mean, think about it even erotically. Think about the fact that, let's just say, if you were trying to figure out how to say this, if you saw the entire world as an act of creative force, but if you saw your attention as the force of creation, that's, I guess, more what I would say. If you saw your attention as the force of creation, meaning that, I imagine, because I was visualizing in my mind, like imagining like, either something that's not born. You can imagine it maybe like a seed, the seed of, implantation, the seed of pregnancy. You could see it as a seed in the ground, a seed that you're watering with your attention. I'm a bit on the darker end. You can see it as maybe a corpse that you are resurrecting, that you are, bringing necromancy, that you are bringing life into. It doesn't really matter how you see it. Your attention gives life to things. Why would you give life to something? This is when I see people on a one-on-one basis. This is what it's going to take us into number two. This is a lot of what I see them doing, is that you're giving life. You are, charging things, the products of your environment that are not desirable to you. You're charging them with your attention, and then complaining that they're there. Just don't read it. And that's such a broader message about, like, if somebody's on some shit that you don't want to hear about, or the news, or you don't like how Sally Joe down the street leaves her dog out at night, either call animal control or ignore it. Stop paying attention to it. Like, stop. Don't get up every morning and be like, goddamn, Sally Joe left her dog outside today. Oh gosh, yeah, she's such a bad dog owner. If it was my dog, the problem with dog owners today, it's just like, you don't realize that you are destroying yourself. So that comment was just so it's like, so you get on somebody else's profile, look at their creativity, their birth, their art, what they have brought forth into the world as an offering of self. And then you say, well, this was too long for me to read. So, and then that post ended up like going like kind of semi-viral. And it's like, so I'm going to go viral complaining about how other people's work doesn't fit my needs. It's like, just then don't read it. But again, we do this. I'm not really talking about Substack or articles or anything like that. I'm talking about the fact that, like, if you don't like something, stop. Then just stop charging it with your attention. Why are you worried about Charlie's cousin and if he paid child support or not? Like, why do you care about that? We're programmed. We're overtaken. We're consumed with other people's shit. And then we assign, it's like, you have to ask yourself at one point in time or another, like, do I just enjoy being unhappy? I remember, being in a workplace setting where I didn't feel like the other people had the same work ethic as I did. And that aggravated me. And I came to the conclusion about after a year that I was just like, you know what? They don't, and that's fine. They don't have the same curiosity about this field. They're not charging it with the same amount of intention. Hell, they're being rewarded regardless. It doesn't really matter. So all I can do is continue to work on myself, continue to grow in this field, continue to focus on me, and move on and keep it pushing. So, the tip here, I said it kind of anecdotally, it was a little bit all over the place, but essentially to stop charging your reality with the attention placed on products of circumstance that you do not wish to continue seeing. If you think of it, in many reality creation gurus, teachers, experts, whatever, have talked about this in terms of like an algorithm. Like, why would you keep pressing like on stuff you don't want to see? And if you do, then you just enjoy being unhappy. And here's the thing, is I had to go through that. I had to look at the parts of myself that it's like, what parts of myself are so contented with being dissatisfied and unfulfilled that I continue to focus my attention on distracting and dissatisfying and unfulfilling things. And and you might bristle against that. You might say, well, I don't enjoy what I'm living, but there is a piece of you, a large piece of you, that is continuing to stay so focused on it because it's comfortable, because you know what to expect there. If you know you're going to wake up every day and you're going to be in traffic going to work and you're going to be pissed, if you know every day you're going to be in pain, if you know every day your jackass kid is going to say something smart before 8 a.m., like, if you are just content in continuing to feed your attention on negative things, there is a certain amount of predictability there. Like, I'm always pissed off. The world has gone to shit, hell in a handbasket. People's articles aren't short enough for my enjoyment. It's just like, what in the world? Like, you just have to look at the fact that, like, and if enjoy, I would venture to say you enjoy it, but if you feel like that's maybe too strong, then considering the fact that maybe there's a piece of you that's so that is so comfortable in this misery that to think of anything else near seems impossible. And that's a lot of times how I'll start a lot of my sessions is, I'll just ask my clients, what it is, that they want. And a lot of times what they want, the first answer is, well, what I really want is for Joe to stop bothering me, because if Joe stops bothering you, and it's just like, fuck, okay, let's start over, I'm not saying, and when you come in, we come with all this baggage, and I'm saying that baggage a lot of times is other people. Is we want other people to stop bothering us so we can stop feeling bothered. We want other people's articles to be shorter so I don't have to wake up and be pissed, and I can just, have my coffee and read my, 200-word article and be happy, because the world should just do everything it can to organize itself around me so that I feel good. And here's the thing, is that the world absolutely can organize itself around you to conspire for your highest, greatest goods and intentions. However, that frequency of afterlife is not going to come to you if you keep fixating on what's not happening and what needs to change and what other people need to do in order to make you happy. So that brings me to, or I guess another piece on that I would state is that I remember being, and this was, gosh, I don't remember what year it would have been, but I think Trump was about to be elected for the first time. I don't know. There was just a lot of political upheaval. I couldn't even really tell you honestly, I was drinking and doing so many substances at the time. I couldn't even, I don't even know. And those things are bad to do. Don't do those things. But I was just so whacked out of my mind undergraduate. That degree is damn near a lie. I couldn't tell you what I learned. Um, Philosophy I was more tuned into, but my bachelor's in psych, it's gone. But anyway, being one of the philosophy kids, and it was a really small school. The humanities department was very small. It's a small Christian private institution in the middle of a cornfield, essentially. And so there was the few, we viewed ourselves as the intellectual bunch. And I remember I had the student discount edition of the New York Times, and I thought I was fancy. I was listening to the Daily every day, and again, with it being maybe about 10 to 12 of us, and that was like across 3 classes as well. This is very small, we had our own building with the theology kids, and we kind of, oh, did you see the Washington Post article about this? Oh, no. But did you cross-reference that with the New York Times article? Oh, no. Well, see, here's what CNN said. Well, we know CNN is biased. Yes, but considering CNN's bias, and because there was just so much going on politically. And I mean, I damn near even have a social justice degree because all of the philosophy professors at that point in time were there was all the shootings of, unarmed black men and women happening. And there was just so much going on during that period of time, maybe no less than now. But it was like kind of that first, it's like the 2010s, so it was that kind of first era of like, oh my gosh, school shootings, minority shootings, just all this stuff, and the president's wilding and whatever, and saying weird shit online and Twitter and all this other stuff. So, and then did you see the Twitter post? So, we were all very kind of like tuned in and tapped into that social justice political, did you see this article? And if you didn't, it really was kind of like you were looked down upon in this like little intellectual circle of, us, scholarly and academic outcasts, us humanities outcasts. Quite literally the building was kind of off campus a little bit compared to the rest of the other studies, areas of study. And I remember one day waking up to listen to the Daily so I could be caught up and be ready for conversation and be ready for discourse and be ready for debate. And it was almost like the lights came on and I just realized that this is making me miserable. This is fucking miserable. I'm worried about, what did the fucking second senator of New Mexico say to the freaking, the 15th representative of the, white flag party in California, and I just made all that up. But that's what I'm saying. I was, and then, oh, well, but there was 5 minutes of this C-SPAN interview. I was just consumed. I was programmed and I was doing it because I needed to feel like I was a part of this. And I suspect all of us needed to be a part of this in-group of this, like the in-group of the out-group. And I needed to feel like I fit in and like that I belong. But even more importantly to myself, my ego needed to be able to affirm that it was intelligent, that at the drop of a dime, at the moment of a minute, I could tell you, what was going on across, various different planes of political landscape. And I never even really cared about any of that. I just knew it was the thing that you had to do, at least to be one of the intellectuals on campus. And it was just miserable. So I remember one day just turning it off and being like, I'm done with this. This is 10 years ago. I haven't watched news since. I have no interest in the news. And that was probably my very first act of, consciously, powerfully beginning to reroute my attention as a creative force in my reality, because I was so upset. And that was the thing too. We were all so upset and so outraged, or maybe we were satiated, or maybe we agreed with this one politician, but if then there would be this debate. And I realized I was making myself miserable. So then back to like the 6,000 word guy. If you don't like it, if it's making you feel like shit, then stop paying attention to it. Remove your attention from it. Stop utilizing your creative force to blow loads into the womb of fertility of the void space that says, I don't like this. Stop doing that. And then we complain about, okay, when the creation, when the child of that which I'm dissatisfied with is born, then we bitch about that. It's like, what? Why? So that brings me into number 2. Stop arguing for the reality of your wish unfulfillment. Or what I'm more trying to say there is, stop defending the reasons that you're in the old script, that you're in the old frequency, that you don't have what you desire, that you're not with what you desire. Stop defending that, because the old script is, as you're exiting it, I mean, it's heavily dense, it's heavily present, obviously, when you're still within it, but when you're cultivating a sense of self that is ascending out of that old frequency, that old script is going to continue playing, because I do imagine it kind of to be like a robotic loop. Or I've come to understand that certain people that I talk to, it's kind of weird, because it's like, I don't know if you ever talk to somebody and you realize they always talk about the same things. Those same things loop in and of themselves. They're cyclical, and there's about one emotional tone to what that person has to say, that they're always angry, that they're always frightened, that they're always worried, that they always have something to complain about, that they're always in bad health, that something is always going wrong. They have a laundry list as to why things are not going their way, but then also it's not even like a variety of topics. It's maybe about 4 to 5 things that they continue to talk about. Those are robots, NPCs. And it doesn't really matter if you believe that they're quite literally like just thrown into your environment as non-playable characters, or if you believe that they're just people that have just been so programmed and conditioned that they're stuck there and they don't know that they're stuck, so they keep looping. It doesn't really matter, kind of what theory of position that you take concerning what an NPC is. Those are not people to argue with. I never argue with people about anything. Here's the thing, because again, if I argue with you, one, what am I saying? I'm saying I don't trust in myself. I'm saying that I need you to validate a stance in a position that is not my own. I mean, that I need you to validate a stance and position within myself, because I don't believe that my stance and position is true. And I need you to release yours, one that I don't believe in order for me to feel good. That's what that's saying. It's saying that I need to win. It's saying that my ego is hungry and is desperate to feel like it's conquered something. There's no point arguing with anybody about anything. People ask me what opinions I have on things. And first of all, there's no point in sharing it. And two, I really try not to have too many thoughts about what's going on outside of me. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, obviously, there are tragedies and different things, but I don't consider those very much. And some people, they might call that selfish, and it's just like, okay. And then what is the alternative? To sit and fixate on things that you can't change, that have no impact on anything to do with you? Why would you argue with that reality? So I don't argue with people, and you don't argue with the old frequency is what I'm saying. Do not argue with the old frequency. When the old frequency pops up, all you need to do, now there's 2 things that I like to do. One, I do like to a certain point, investigate what that old frequency might be revealing about a belief system that I might have had, and I'm still carrying that belief system. You can look, if you want to know what's going on in your life, look at the patterns that keep reoccurring. That's telling you about your belief systems. That's telling you about the predominant level of your subconscious programming that has manifest and made itself material to you, because that's how dense it was. And as you cultivate a sense of self, an idea of self, an idea of reality that lies outside the boundaries of that old script is absolutely going to come up. And sometimes it can be helpful to look at that, because it can tell you, this is what I believed about myself. This is a mirror reality. I'm being mirrored back an aspect of myself. So to dissect that and to identify that, it can be helpful. It can help you continue to ascend, because it can, assist you in looking at what you need to continue releasing. But if you've already done that, like if you've already assessed and analyzed, you're like, I don't believe that, I don't even know why that's here, then you just stay true to what you know within yourself, because the truth does not need to be defended. Now, what is the truth? My truth is going to change every day because we're all parts of the whole, and the whole is the part and parcel of every single one of us. We're individualized expressions of God, which means that we contain the truth of all things, but we're individualized expressions of that. We're fragments of that. So in the fragment, the whole of God is contained, but at the same time, we're living out that fracture in and of itself as well, because we're not the all that is. As long as we're in a corporal meat suit, as long as we're in these bodies, we can only maintain a certain amount of perspective and a certain amount of experience, at a given time or place. We're living that fragment as the whole of the all that is. So what the hell is truth? I mean, truth is what you know to be about yourself, but the truth doesn't argue with anything or anyone. So do not argue with the old frequency. If you see it come up, don't continue reacting to it, because the more that you continue to react to it, you're charging it. I mean, I imagine like Dragon Ball Z. I never really watched much of that, but I remember, they were always doing this, and you're charging that. I mean, if you imagine like, I'm going to charge my attention with something that I absolutely hate. I'm going to charge my attention with the old frequency. And then I'm going to complain about it being here. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't argue with people, and don't argue with the old frequency. Don't say, well, this shouldn't be here. Why is this continuing to happen to me? I thought I released it. I've been manifesting. I've been scripting. Why is it still here? Stand true, or as Neville Goddard would say, persist. But it's not, persisting. I love and hate that word. I love it for myself, but I do think that it can point to a point of force. You don't need to force anything. You just stand in the truth of your reality, which again is a lot easier to do if you're not maintaining number one, which is, charging your attention with what Bill is doing and what Sally's doing and who didn't write this article and, oh God, what's the news going on, and the neighbor won't put up their dog. Like, how the hell are you going to focus and stand in the truth of which you know to be the reality of yourself, because you are the all that is? How are you going to stand in the power of the truth of your consciously created reality if your attention is split and fractured in 15 different directions that have nothing to do with you, people that you can't influence, and in realities that you don't prefer? So don't argue. Don't react and don't argue to the old script, to the old frequency, and don't argue with people, because you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to prove to anybody that you've changed. You don't need to prove to anybody that, you're the new 2.0. You don't need to have them affirm back to you that you are this new self, because they're probably going to argue with you. And the more that you entertain their argument for what you're not, or realities, it doesn't really matter if you're entertaining the argument of the reality. Like, let's just say you're trying to, you're focusing your attention on the reality of a specific person, and what you see on Facebook is they just got hooked up, linked up, they're now in a new relationship with someone else. Well, you don't need to argue back and forth with that version of reality. Just understand that that's not your version of reality. That's not your truth. And to remain in that, don't argue with somebody else about what they believe. Why do you need them to believe what you believe? So you can believe what you believe more strongly? So you can say that you want? I mean, what is truly the purpose of that? And that brings me to number 3, which is related to number 2. So number 1 was stop paying attention to stuff that you don't like. Number 2 was concerning reality. Do not argue do not argue against the old frequency. Do not continue to maintain this idea that you have to prove yourself against what's happening or to another person in order to validate that within yourself. And 3, within yourself, stop defending the truth of that old script. If you've got an old script that says that you're worthless, that you're unlovable, that you're unlikable, that you're not confident, that you're not hot, whatever it is that you might be ascending out of, or releasing, that frequency reality from your state of self, your state of consciousness, your awareness, we become the best defenders. I imagine even kind of like a court system. A lot of times we're standing as in defense for why we're worthless, why we're not good enough, why we're not lovable. So ask anytime that thought comes up, why are you clinging to that so fiercely? A lot of times we are unconsciously, and ask yourself, like, am I defending the parts of myself that allow me to stay small, weak, victimized? I don't mean weak in terms of you are weak, but I mean feeling as though you're powerless. So victimized, powerless, and misunderstood. Am I defending the truth of that old script, at least my perceived truth of that old script? Let's just say you've watched some videos on authenticity and you're like, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go buy a new outfit and I'm going to try to love myself, and I'm going to go do the thing. I'm going to go be myself. And the minute that you do that, somebody has something rude, nasty to say, somebody has something disapproving to say, a lot of times what happens in that circumstance, it doesn't really matter about the outfit or authenticity, but when we try to do that new thing and we don't immediately get that validation from the 3D world, we argue with it. We get mad, number one, that other people didn't understand us, but two, then we start becoming our own prosecutor. Then we start defending the reasons as to why we're worthless, as to why we shouldn't have tried that thing, as to why it's not working out, as to why we should have just kept doing what we were doing, as to why there's no point, why there's not going to ever be any change, why we're stuck. How many times have you found yourself trying to start a new path, a new journey, align yourself with a new frequency? You get hit, and sometimes you'll get hit with nothingness. Like sometimes it's really more effective. Just you haven't seen any materialized results. It's been 2 days. I've been affirming for 2 days and nothing's changed in my 3D reality. Well, now you're defending the fact that nothing has changed in your 3D reality. How many times have you defended your own ineptitude, your own smallness, again, your own disempowerment? How many times have you yourself defended that old script? Anytime that you believe that nothing's going to change, it's not here yet, it's not happening, you are defending, you then are standing as a prosecutor against yourself for the reality of the old script. So how many times have you, if you weren't focused on other people, which that's a killer, and if you weren't trying to fight and react and, do this, you versus reality, you have to win. If you're not doing all those things, oftentimes we're just defending the fact that the old reality is still the case. If you swiped right on somebody and they swiped right on you, and then you get to talking and then they unswipe. I don't know how dating apps work, but then they unswipe and the conversation ends. Do you use that as ammunition against yourself to say, this is why I'm unlovable, this is why I'm not attractive, this is why nobody likes me? Do not use anything out there as evidence as to why you're not fulfilled, because if you do, you're the God of your reality, which means that everything that you charge by way of your conscious attention is going to be the realized and materialized truth that you experience. So if you charge the truth of your experience with the parallel reality of I'm not good enough, that is all you're going to continue to see. So how many times have you defended the fact that the old frequency is still here, that old story, that old narrative, that old script is still here, and I'm never going to get out of it? Every time you say that it's not here yet, you stepped out of your truth of knowing and you're aligning with that old script and then using that to punish yourself with in the real moment, which is creating more of it to continue. So that's 3 considerations to help you consciously create with more ease and more flow. My name is Lucian Francois Mateo St. James. This transmission was brought to you by and is courtesy of the Electric Temple. Thank you again for co-creating this moment here with me. And until next time, make sure to back to Substack. Check out that Liberation Chronicle. I can't promise all my articles. I just got that started, so I think there's for 6,000 words. It's so wild to me. You get on a reading app and then complain about reading too much, and it's just crazy. But anyway, Liberation Chronicle is the written word of this platform. If you get an account on Substack specifically, you'll have more direct access to me. I post poetry there, musings, thoughts throughout the day. There's a podcast exclusively attached to that, Loose Ends and Unasked Questions, and just got to the dispatches from the Edge of Obvious podcast exclusive to Spotify running as well. So lots of places for contact. Remember to be good to yourselves and others, because everybody's you anyway. Till next time.